And I'm going to actually change this to Anamaria, Nick, and Dante. Just tell me if I've misspelled anyone's name, but I think I should be.
No, it was fine.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. All
Probably
right.
after 5 minutes, I'll put him to bed.
Oh, that's fine. But then you have to come back because you have to tell your part of the
Oh,
story.
sure.
And you can
Yeah.
say, I'm going to just go put him to bed because, like, everybody's going to be impressed about the fact that this child just goes to sleep. No child does that, just so you know. All right, I'm going to stream live now. No, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Hang on. I'll tell you as soon as we are. Oh my God. Oops. I just have to do, there's a little bit of setup on this end here. Oh my God, I can squeeze this child. Yes, I am talking about you. But honestly, this is one of the best parts of my entire everything I do. I can't even say I was having a beautiful workshop yesterday with some of the participants of the fertility challenge, and it just got me reminiscing about how the fertility journey can be so hard, but at the same time, it enables you to really connect with certain parts of yourself that almost nothing else would enable you to do that. And then we have these beautiful little beings that just bless our lives, and it's just such a and eat their hands meanwhile, and it's such a wonderful privilege. So guys, thank you so much for being here. It's just, for me, such a treat to see the completion of our hard work together. And it's hard, but at the same time it's just so beautiful and rewarding. So thank you. Without you, none of this would happen. So, it's just a beautiful thing to be able to just know that we have been a part of your lives as much as you have been a part of ours and forever will be. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd love to get a little bit of a sense, tell me about how this whole began. I think that the hardest part of the fertility journey is realizing that something is not quite right, that, there are things that are not quite going to plan. And before finding out, there probably were lots of emotions and lots of thoughts, but I want to kind of hear a little bit about how is it that you realized that you needed help, that things weren't quite going to plan and that there was something else that needed to be done.
Well, as any couple in their early 40s, we got married in our early 40s. So obviously we felt right that we would be lovely to have a baby. I've never thought this previously, and I don't know about you, but I think it was the first time when I really wanted a child with him. So
Lucky you, Nick.
And
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I know, and as any couple in their 40s, you go on the internet and try to find a doctor. And I had just moved to Australia 8 years ago, that's when the IVF journey started. So that's when we got married. So I wasn't very familiar with anything to do with a good doctor when it comes to fertility. Yes, I knew about fertility since my mid-30s when I discovered that I had fibroids. And that's the only time when I actually thought, oh, I need to do something about it, because otherwise it's going to go down the drain from there. If at 35, I don't take care of myself, who knows what's going to happen in my 40s. So I just started Googling, and just the first doctor that popped up, I called and booked an appointment. And to this day, I regret taking the first train that came to the station, to be honest. because it turned out as a very terrible experience. Even though she was well known, and I did look at the reviews and they were not that bad. There were a few red flags, but I thought, okay, I'll just give it a try. So we both went, and straight away it was IVF. I remember she showed me the slides of how IVF happens and what they're doing first, second, third, and here you go. Then we fertilize it with a sperm, and this is it. And ideally, you have many eggs. I remember her saying that, many eggs, many eggs. And I remember, I'm like, I just want one child. I don't want 20. The nurses, the fertility nurses, were not friendly either. They all had the same mantra of, you need many eggs, you need many eggs. And I was panicking and thinking only about many eggs. And sadly, after 3 rounds, we got nothing. Immatured eggs, all sorts of terrible stuff happened. So it wasn't really.
Well, we got 3, and then
we got 3, but none.
And then we were
3 embryos. You mean?
No embryos. We didn't make it to the embryo.
No, then
Right.
We did. But
and then we did the DNA fragment test.
Okay.
And then that was sent, came back, and it was
mosaic.
Yeah.
I was told that my embryo is mosaic, and she said this is the worst it can be, so forget about it.
Yeah. And so that's when she kind of cut us off.
Yes, pretty much. And then I moved. I was devastated after 3 rounds of IVF that did not work out. Felt terrible, bloated. Felt like my estrogen was coming through my ears. That's how pumped with drugs I was. And after that, I thought, okay, I'm changing the clinics, but I keep going. This is one thing that happens to many of even my friends who do IVF. You feel like you're possessed by this IVF drug that tells you keep going, the more the better, and even though you feel tired, you feel like you've used all your energy, you keep going. And it's so ironic that it's not going to work out if you keep going. You need to take a break, detox from all the medicine they give you, which I realized joining the program. Otherwise I would have continued with another 10 rounds or whatever. So we went to a workshop at another clinic, and one of the doctors that was very friendly, she started chatting with me, and I said, I know that it can work, but I need something else, and you need to help me. And she goes, sure, come, let's make an appointment. The reason why I liked her because she was very open to alternative medicine, and she encouraged acupuncture, she encouraged different herbs. And she gave me the minimum dose because she believed that yes, you can still produce your own eggs, but you cannot be pumped with drugs. That's gonna not help you. So that's the reason why I liked her. And we did 2 rounds of IVF, and we had the highest number of eggs, which was 6. And we got, I remember, 5 embryos. So from 2 rounds. So that was very promising.
Wow. It was very different as well.
It was very different, yes. And I didn't feel as sick. She was very gentle during the retrieval. So everything went really well. And we lost, I think, 2 when they were thawing them, and 2 failed to implant. In spite of perfect results regarding estrogen and progesterone, when you do the bloods, they still failed to implant. And she was wondering what's going on, what is happening, why they're not implanting. And I didn't have the answer either. I was just listening to her. And this happened just before the pandemic hit in 2020 March. So failed IVF, I lost my job, and I was home crying, thinking, what am I going to do? Could not travel overseas to do IVF overseas. There is that option if you want. There was
but certainly not during the pandemic in our prison island, with no going in or out. So that was a challenge.
So that was a big challenge, and it came at the very bad moment as losing my job, losing the last embryo. So it felt terrible. I have never felt that low in my life because I had nothing to look forward to. Luckily, I was studying and was working towards my doctorate. So that kept me grounded, saying, okay, this is my baby. I have a baby to work towards. You know, I want to do the research. So that kept me going a little bit, and I had more free time. So that saved me in a way. And
But who would have thought that a doctorate would save anybody? But I get it. I understand. Right now, I'm in the other side of that, you know, thinking, am I going to survive this?
It's just reading, you know, reading and researching, as you know, it keeps your mind off a lot of things. And
Yes.
and because I love reading about it, and it was just something new. And in the meantime, I think, yes, you ask us, where did you find the program? And to be honest, I do not remember how I came across the program and how did someone from the program got my email, because I was receiving
We never
emails.
get people's emails, so you somehow gave us your email.
I just don't know how. So I was getting emails every week about the challenge program, the challenge.
The fertility challenge.
Joined it.
Yes.
Yeah, the fertility challenge. Do you want an appointment? And I'm like, I don't want anything. Leave me alone. So I kept, to be honest, I was deleting the emails because I was not in that state of mind where I'm like, why are these people bothering me? And I think God was saying there is a door. You just need to open it yourself. Help yourself. Otherwise, I can't help you. And I remember you said this during the fertility challenge. If God will help you if you help yourself. So I wasn't helping myself because I was ignoring the messages. And I think it was March. Yeah, this was March. And I got another email. Oh, there's
Okay,
a program.
I need to interrupt and pause this for one moment.
Sure,
Where is my child? Where did he go?
He's not quite asleep yet, but he's trying to.
Honestly, every single time it freaks me out how this child is so not how normal children operate. You know, you just put them to bed and he just goes to sleep. Oh my God. Sorry. Tell us about the challenge. Anamaria. What was that?
He doesn't have a dummy. Okay. Like usually he has a dummy just before he falls asleep, but not now.
Not now.
Not now.
Okay. He's already being weaned off the dummy. It's like a perfect child. What can I tell you?
He's given a different meaning to a knuckle sandwich. He's
Oh, he's loving that. He is indeed. So, sorry, you were telling me about the fertility challenge. So you got invited to a fertility challenge after ignoring all the messages about it.
By the way, one more thing. If he sleeps right now, he won't wake up until 6 o'clock in the morning.
See what I mean? See what I'm saying? This is just like perfection in a little tiny cute bottle of yumminess.
It's the supplements, I think. It's all about the supplements.
I think it's the combination of everything. I think it really is.
Yeah.
So after ignoring all those messages, see what happens? Perfect child.
Yeah. So in the end, I think I did reply. I made a connection and I requested a meeting with you. And we had the meeting it was freezing. And it wasn't even winter yet. And, you know, WA doesn't get that cold, really. But it was cold. And it was just dark. And I was like...
WA as in Western Australia.
Western Australia. And
could be
I don't know.
It's not Washington.
Not Washington.
We work with people everywhere. So it really doesn't matter at the end of the day.
So, yeah, we had the meeting. And I remember being very irritated and desperate. And you were very nice in answering all my questions. And I was like, I want to start now. And he goes, sure, start. I'm like, come on. So I felt like I was not rude, but just very like, can we get this started? I want my answers. I'm tired of spending money on things that don't give me the answers. Yes, the age, I'm a geriatric, I understand. But this is not, age is not, so if it's the age, how come he's fine? You know, he's old as well then, you know? So it was a lot of discrepancy between me and him, and it's always my fault and he's fine. So I wanted answers. So we joined in June 2020 before we we finished the challenge, right? We did the challenge, yes.
You finally answered the messages, did the challenge, you know, all the things. Wow.
Yes. Then I loved the challenge. It was really fun. And
then another thing was, like when we find somebody nice, they're good for a while, and then they kind of change jobs or go somewhere, and then we're left deserted. And then when we're talking to you, you said, "Oh, by the way, I'm gonna do my master's and I'll be away, but
I'll be here."
And then when we were like, "Oh, another one," but for this instance, that wasn't the case. It was much more bigger. It was the whole staff that support this program were the people that really cared and took really all that worry away, and it just made our journey smooth.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. And, you know, and it's so lovely because that is, I always say this and people kind of go, huh? I say, the day that you need me, like literally personally need me, there's something really wrong, you know. And I have always run this clinic with that premise. Like I really truly believe that the people that work for me, they need to care at least close to as much as I do. And I'm very, very grateful and very lucky that the people who work with me are the kind of people, you know, that they do this work for the work and for the support that we provide our patients. And, you know, and it's not easy, you know, like there are some really challenging aspects and things of just day to day, you know, that things happen and this and that. And, you know, some days we kind of go, gosh, what are we doing wrong? Like, you know, our ads account gets, you know, hacked and this and that, and it kind of like you're managing all of these different pieces, but at the same time, what we do has such meaning, you know, it has such meaning to our lives, so much meaning to the lives of the people who we are so privileged to serve, that it just, I don't know, it just keeps us going. And, you know, Alison and I have been working together, who's my clinical director, for so many years. I think we're going on to our 12th or 13th year, one of the two. And so that's kind of like half or almost half of my working life has been, you know, in this process of just creating the best possible experience for our patients along what is sometimes such a challenging journey, you know, as you described and I continue to describe. So thank you for that feedback. I know that whenever the team hears, you know, because they love to watch these as much as everybody else. So whenever they hear that they have been instrumental in your journey, for them, it's such a beautiful acknowledgement as well. So thank you for saying that. But yeah, it's really special.
Anytime.
So what else happened? Tell me. So we're at the point, we're at the stage where you started the challenge.
Yes,
and
we finished the challenge.
Finished the
and
challenge.
We did really well.
Decided to join the program.
Going away.
Oh, that's right.
And then
I was going away.
And then we joined. We joined straight away because we thought there's nothing to lose, first of all. Spending more money on IVF with no answers is actually a waste of money. So if you're investing a good amount of money, it should be invested in something that will give you results. And
or at least more answers, right? Like at least clarity, understanding, better health, something.
Something must be wrong somewhere, hidden in, you know, in this body or his body, not only mine. So we had our first initial consultation, which went really well. And we really clicked with our practitioner, and we went from there with a lot of homework, so blood tests. And I was actually very happy to do lots of blood tests because I wanted to know what's going on. And I just remember one of the GPs, we were looking for clinics that would do blood tests, the ones that we wanted. And luckily in Australia, we do have more lenient GPs, and there a lot of are covered by Medicare. So we're pretty lucky compared to other people, I think. And the GP turned us down, saying that you're wasting Medicare by asking me to check your vitamin D. It's not going to help you conceive, honey. Don't worry. Why do you need to know these? And I remember I came out crying out of that GP saying, I'm wasting Medicare because I want a healthy child who won't go to the doctor.
Yeah.
So I was just devastated. I'm like, how am I going to get this blood test? You know, how, where, and who's going to say yes to them? And in the end, we did them. And to be honest, we changed a lot of GPs because of the blood test, because they wouldn't give it to us again. You know, you need to know 6 months how the sperm is, you know, you need to know how my estrogen is. So, you know, so we did change clinics around. And then we found out many interesting things, that the thyroid is important. It took a while to get to the reverse T3 in my case. It took about 2 years, to be honest. And fixing the thyroid is a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
One
And,
day
you know, it's interesting because this is exactly the thing. Even discovering that you have a thyroid problem, because most people subclinically have a thyroid problem, you know, in our day-to-day,
Yeah.
particularly people who come to us and have some kind of irregularity that is difficult to pick up, because it fluctuates. You know, that's really that when it's not quite right, you have the symptoms that you have: inability to conceive, inability to keep a pregnancy term, all of those things. But when you take the blood test, everything looks normal. So it takes lots of taking of blood tests and kind of wanting to see, okay, is there a time where it's abnormal? And what do we need to do about it then, so that we have it consistently normal? You know, so yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. That is sometimes one of the things that keeps us, you know, guessing for quite some time. But eventually, I think we got there.
We got there, yeah.
And also, when we do the blood test, it goes through the GP, and then the GP gets the result.
Yes.
And the GP says, "Oh, your thyroid's fine."
Yes.
But,
yeah, that's right.
But then we come back to the program and look at it. It's still a bit high, or this and that. So we look much deeper into what we need.
Yeah.
So that was.
And I think, you know, to just add here very quickly a little bracket, what happens from our perspective and how we're looking at results in general. You know, we're not looking at reference ranges of what's normal in the average population. At the end of the day, that's instructive to a certain extent, but it doesn't really tell us in a situation of when people are struggling to conceive, keep a pregnancy to term, or having failed treatments. What is optimal is really what we need to aim for, because clearly there is something that's not quite right. You know, like so many times I hear people coming to me and go, you know, I've got unexplained infertility. What is that? Tell me, what is that? Like, you know, that is not a diagnosis, and it shouldn't be, you know, yet it just keeps getting repeated. And so when people keep being told everything is normal, just keep trying, or, oh, it's a numbers game. Well, really? That's like, how much more are we going to go through? We're going to go through 10 years of this numbers game situation until we run out of time to have a baby altogether. Like, what's the deal here? You know? So sorry, I get on my little soapbox. I'll come down now.
No, it's because, you know, 2 years to realize the reverse T3 can play a role in keeping me stressed out, anxious, and all that. And another one was the natural killer cells, which took even longer to realize, to find a really good doctor here in Perth who actually said, oh, let's test you for NK cells. I was like, and what does that mean?
That's innovative.
Well, if they're high, the embryo won't implant. And I'm like, you kidding me? So looking back at the 5 cycles of IVF, was it the age or was it really the NK cells? So that was the question I'm over it now. I got over it.
Yeah.
But for a while, I was really upset. because I thought, what if it was the NK cell? What if it was not just the age?
Yeah,
But
and
I'll
this
never
is the
find
thing,
out.
it's that fragmented care that happens in fertility, you know, so often where couples, and this is where, you know, we are often having to tell people, okay, you need to go and do this and this and this way and this and this and this. And then they go there and the doctor's like, no, 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 oh, maybe, no. You know, so then we have to, like, if you just were to get help the first time properly, it would have saved all of this
A
rigmarole of
lot.
coming back and
Yeah,
forth, and you know, like, it's such a waste of time, money, energy, you know.
exactly.
But obviously you guys were, and what I loved about you, I have to say, one, the tenacity. You know, you've kept your sense of humor throughout. I always remember the very first time I met you guys, how much Nick made me laugh. And Marie, you were like, exactly as you said, like, okay, can we hurry up already? But it was perfect, because that's exactly what needed to happen. You know, otherwise it's you going around in circles until eventually you either crash in a heap and go, okay, I'm done with this. I don't even want to think about having another baby anymore, or a baby
Yeah, yeah,
anymore. And let's just be done with it all. Or you move forward, right? So I'm so glad
yeah.
that in the end it was like, okay, right, we're going to do this and we're going to do this properly. So yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah, we had to. I mean, it took 4 years to conceive. And there were moments in the middle of the program where I told the practitioner, I'm like, I think I'm done, or can I just not have the supplements? And I remember she said, okay, no supplements, but do not cancel our appointments. That's the only thing, please don't do, because otherwise you're out of the loop. You're just going to be completely out of the loop. So yes, so there was, from being very keen on taking every single supplement and reading every label of the food I was eating out or I was buying, to understanding that 10% or 30% for the soul is important, to be persistent and keep going and relax a bit. And I remember I was annoying him saying, what are you eating? Where are you eating? Why are you eating? So I was quite
Why are you eating?
I was very strict in the beginning, to being more relaxed and said, you know what, I'll have a burger. It's okay. Burger King won't kill me once a year, or to be more relaxed. And I think that's why we kept going for 4 years. I mean, of course, the goal of a baby was very strong, but also, you know, financially there were struggles and changing jobs to keep going. And, you know, sometimes you want to travel and don't worry about the budget and just splurge when you're traveling, or I can't buy this because it's got plastic, or so little changes that we made to, you know, I have to watch.
That hasn't changed.
Well, I mean, I do have conflicts now that I'm breastfeeding,
It's
but
still gluten
Yeah.
free.
yeah, but it's
That's
disgusting.
good. Yeah, but you see, this is the thing. And actually, it's funny because I always say this. These changes that you make because you want to have a baby, they really are for your best, highest level of
Exactly.
health in the long term, you know, really. And so it's like, you know, as much as I get it, like, I live these principles. Can you believe it? I still live these. I've lived these principles 10 years before I got pregnant, and I still live these principles. My oldest child now is about to turn 13. So, you know, like, this is how I live my life. And, you know, and this is another thing. Nothing that we ask our patients to do, we wouldn't do.
Yeah.
So it rests, you know, it's one of those things. It's a little rule of mine, that if I wouldn't do it, I wouldn't ask my patients to do it. But if I would do it, and I do it because it's this important, well then, we are all going to do this thing.
You make these changes while you're on the program, and then your body reacts to it, and then you kind of then feel okay, and then the knowledge now sticks to you, and then you watch TV, and then on the news they announce something, this is so on bad for you, and then you should avoid this, and then you get these aha moments, and then
yes.
It's like, oh my
it
God,
just
Gabriela has been talking about for 20 years, but
Yes,
now that I
yes,
saw it in the
exactly.
news, it's
It's
true.
real.
No,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. That's how we every time we're saying this, and you know, there are programs on TV. I'm not going to mention the names, that that make everything look a bit easier when it comes to IVF, and the struggles are quite artificial. When I think, I talk to them like, are they checking NK cells? Are checking the reverse? Are they checking the, you know, the sperm morphology? Are they doing that, or just looking at the numbers? And are they eating well? They're using plastics, they're wearing makeup. So nice programs, but they're not really showing the truth about, it's not that easy. You know, if you struggle for many years, they're not going to conceive on a program after 3 rounds of IVF, you know? So there's a lot of misinformation out there. And
yeah. And it's incredible, isn't it? Because more than 70% of cycles, singular cycles, fail, right? And this is across all ages. When we go to the, you know, close to 40 and, you know, 40 plus, it's more than 70% fail. And yet you have these programs showing how easy it all is to just, you know, get pregnant on IVF. But the actual data shows that, you know, there was one paper that was published in Human Reproduction, I believe it was, 178,000 cycles. And it showed that you needed to have close to an 80% live birth rate, you needed on average 8 IVF cycles on average. Wow. Which means that some people may have had 2, but others would have had 30. You know, it's like that kind of level. So yeah, it's fascinating to me how it's so easy. Oh yeah, it's so easy. Just keep that's the journey, that's the herd. Let's go down this you know, path. And when it doesn't work, well, you know, there has to be something wrong with you, or it's your eggs, or you know, you're old, or you know.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like, well, yeah. So tell me, what is it that changed for you guys? You know, when you start, like, what were some of the big things that you identified? You've mentioned thyroid and reverse T3, well, and then the NK cells, but what were some of the big surprises of what made a difference to maybe how you felt, or how you kind of lived your life in your day-to-day whilst you were on the journey of implementation in the program?
Or
what's about your weight, the weight gain? It's not like I realize if people who are overweight or they're just chubbier, it's not just because they're eating a lot. I just realized that in, you know, it's to do with the gut, it's to do with the liver. There's a complex, you know, the insulin has to work in a certain way. It's not just, okay, I'll cut down on carbs and in 3 weeks I'm 20 kilos thinner, which is really silly, to be honest. And I realized watching you that it's not just cutting out bread, it's more complex, and it's how the liver and the gut work together, and how the ferritin is such an influential, is it a hormone or a
ferritin is iron stores.
Iron, okay. Yeah.
In my case, it's ferritin.
Yeah, it is ferritin, yeah.
And what about for you, Nick? What did you notice? Like, what were the things for you that kind of like, oh.
Like a light bulb moment?
Well, it could be light bulb moments, or, you know, like things that you kind of, that surprised you.
So when we go out, because we were so immersed in the program and constantly talking about how to improve ourselves, we go out and then sort of, well, where was it? Somewhere, and then Anna goes, "Oh yeah, he's got great sperm," and like, this is in a social environment, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Okay, I am going to leave that way. Bye-bye. Well, you know, be careful saying that, Anamaria, because, you know, there's people that just want sperm. So, you know, especially when it comes to some of the women up here that just need donors, you know. So it's like, oh, let me go find some.
But it changed now. You're more now. No, this is not now. I was used to say this in the beginning, not now.
Now you've quietened down about the topic.
Yeah, but I think, like I said, in his case, it's more about the weight gain, the importance of realizing that weight gain is not just purely food, and how important and the inflammation in the body. Like, you know, we didn't realize that inflammation, it is something that we really need to look into. In spite of being 20 or 40, I think it's equally important.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
And also homocysteine, right? The allergy reaction. And the last IVF clinic I went to, they were so imperative about testing.
Do you mean histamine? Do you mean histamine in terms of allergy, or do you mean the homocysteine levels because of just elevation of MTHFR? Okay, right.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, because the last clinic where I had the baby, they asked me to see how the results from it, and also the NK cells. So these two for them were not the thyroid as much, which really surprised me. That's why I think the IVF clinic and your own doctor need to be click together, because otherwise if your doctor says, don't worry about NK cells, and they say NK cells are important, then there's not going to be a nice harmony there when you're actually trying to conceive. And you know, so luckily through one of your practitioner, I found out this doctor in Perth who was working on NK cells, and he's the one who discovered the issue, and he really helped me through the pregnancy to keep them under control with the intralipids, which is a very controversial treatment, and he's actually the only one in Perth who does it. So the OB where I had the baby, he was also surprised. He goes, "Oh, he's the only one. He's working." I'm like, "Look, I'm pregnant and he's working." So yes,
it's you know, what I find wonderful about this process is that in the journey that sometimes is really difficult for you, it's also an educational moment for all of the people who end up treating you. You know, all of a sudden it's like they may have had some idea or some conception about how things work that is disrupted by what you guys create. You know, like I know that we have this happen for our patients all the time, especially when, you know, they've tried everything, nothing has worked, and then all of a sudden they go and finally, you know, are able to do what some other doctor felt was not going to be possible. And in those moments, it's like, oh, okay, so let's understand a little bit more about this, which I think is wonderful. You know, your stories become beacons of hope for patients, but also education for practitioners who, you know, may have thought about something in a different way previously, and who might be a little bit more open and more willing to look at other ways of thinking and doing things, which I think is really wonderful. So you guys serve that really important purpose, you know, which shouldn't be up to the patients and the patient's really challenging journey and challenging story to get to that place. But unfortunately, medicine moves slow. I don't know if you noticed. And so, you know,
I did give your book to the IVF doctors, to be honest. I said, you know, I don't want to insult the doctor, but I said, they have to read it. Yes, I did. And the last one, the doctor who delivered my baby, my OB, he published a book as well. Similar, you know, more about nutrition. It was a lot to do with nutrition. And I asked my practitioner, I'm like, "Do you want this book?" "Oh, yeah, let me have a look." I'm like, "There's some recipes where you might cringe because there's milk in it. But other than that, I think they're quite good recipes, and they're quite similar, you know, with what we've been cooking from the program." And yes, we were very lucky to find, you know, doctors that were in tune with this program. Because otherwise it would have been very difficult to, you know, because they wouldn't agree. What's the narrative of naturopathy? I don't care about that. I don't know anything about it. I'm scared to tell you that is right. But luckily, all of them agreed and said, "You do this part, I do my part," and we meet in the middle.
And I think, you know, one of the things that happens, particularly in our clinic now, you know, is that we have so much mounting evidence, you know, of the work that we do because of the work that we do. And so, you know, it becomes this kind of almost snowball effect, you know, like the fact that we've analyzed our data, we know our patients, we know our results, we know, and, you know, we're actually in the process of doing a second analysis and publishing that information and, you know, in scientific journals. And so basically, you know, it's not the same as going to a single naturopath somewhere in a little town in some place who works on their own, who literally just, you know, like it's a very different organization, set up, focus, you know, the focus that we have on research and how it is that we want to see, okay, what are the things that are actually making a difference here for our patients, and really looking at validated scientific methods to do that is, I think, what also makes this very different. You know, it's not just, it's not just like my word, don't take my word for it, like have a look. You know, this is a demonstrable piece of work that, you know, has been ongoing for many, many, many decades now, crazily enough.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's
So
very
tell
true.
me, what was that moment like where it finally happened? All this work and effort and putting it all together and, you know, getting all of the pieces to just line up just so. And finally knowing that, okay, did it work? It worked. Oh my God. Are we gonna have a baby?
To be honest, the IVF that I did with my current Bob, I just went with the flow. I'm like, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. If it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
And this is it. I've done my, I think the beautiful thing about the program is that I've done my best. I've looked at it from all the angles. And if it's working, it's wonderful. If it doesn't, we'll find other ways. So I was really content with my health, with my physical health, with whatever I was eating. So I was very happy. We're both very happy. So I think reaching that point of being happy and content with what we had, it gave me the ability to think, you know what, if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We will get the baby another way where we want. So I think I'm owing that to the program. I think that feeling of just go with the flow and trust the process, you know, trust what the doctor says. Do not worry about your lining. Because I remember the practitioner said, you know, the lining is okay, but I think we're too loud. The lining, it's not.
He just wants to be part. He knows we're talking about him now, so he just wants to be a part of this conversation.
So, you know, the lining might be good, might not be good. It might implant, it might not. I'm just being realistic with you. I'm like, sure. I took everything in and I did not panic. If the lining is all right, fine, we'll try again. So I think letting it go in the true sense of this word, letting it go was very important. And just trusting what everyone says and not arguing with anyone and not worrying of what the gyno said or the clinic said or what my practitioner said. Just go with the triangle. It was like a triangle: the clinic, my fertility doctor, and the practitioner together. So
you know, it's as you speak, it just what I capture from that as well is that need for surrender, you know, that you just talk like that real see, he knew we were talking about him now. He just wanted to be a part of this conversation. So but that surrender is so critical and so vital, you know, that it makes the world of difference. How was that for you, Nick? How, you know, Anamaria was just describing how she just essentially let go, you know, she surrendered to the process. And how did it feel for you?
Well, there's nothing much I think the male counterpart can do other than trust the mother instinct.
Yeah.
I just had to support her. Like, but by saying that, she was still, you know, we went for walks, but the speed had dropped dramatically. Like,
Oh, you mean when I was pregnant?
yeah.
No, we haven't got there yet.
Oh.
This is when I let go and I trusted the clinic and I just said, you know, if it happens that I fall pregnant, it's great. If it doesn't, it's okay. That's where we're at.
Yeah, there's nothing much I could do either.
Yeah. No, I think that, you know, your answer was perfect either way, because it's exactly right, isn't it? It's almost like as a partner in this process. And sometimes, you know, I don't know, Anamaria, I don't know about you, but I hear from a lot of patients that they just want their partner just to, like, you know, provide that level of certainty that no matter what, everything is going to be okay. How did that feel between the two of you as you were going through, you know, the process?
Well, for me, I mean, having him is great, but if it didn't happen, nothing would change. Like, we would still live our lives.
Yeah.
I mean, this one is a bonus, a great bonus.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. You know, and that's one thing about the two of you. Like, you've always been so with each other that, you know, it's just, it was so lovely. And I remember the very first time that we met, Nick, where you were like, you know what, it's going to be fine. Even if we don't have a baby, I'm in. I love this woman, and this is just, you know, how I want life to be, so to speak. And the baby will be the bonus. And look at us here now, you know, looking back at that conversation and going, oh, yeah, the journey wasn't exactly how we had thought it was going to go this way or that way, or it kind of went all sorts of ways, but we got there, and it's a really beautiful thing to see. And how was it how was it when you guys got the news that you were pregnant?
What? What did he do?
No, I was gonna say something and then he just startled.
When my doctor called me, I asked him if these are my blood results. Are you sure you haven't made a mistake? He goes, no, I'm positive you are pregnant. I'm like, wow, are you sure? Yes, I am sure.
Wow.
And yes. And he just said, okay, let me book you in for intralipids. It was all about intralipids. Yeah.
So, okay, let's go.
Intralipids and scans. Intralipids, blood tests every week. This was the first 8 weeks, and come for the scan. And luckily he was open every Saturday, so booked in every Saturday and check for, you know, if the embryonic sac is forming, if there's a heartbeat, and then every other week intralipids, basically. So which was a big investment. They're not cheap.
Absolutely. As I always say,
I can reveal now, but every second week intralipid, that's like, oh my goodness, they fly out.
The money just like creating wings. But, you know, as I always say, children are expensive to raise.
Right. We know that already.
This is just, you know, the child just before it gets there a little bit, you know?
This is pre-child.
This is the foundation for the child, you know? So that's usually how it happens. So there we go. And how was it for you, Nick, when you got the news? Because Anamaria it seemed like it was just like, oh my God, you know, shock, surprise. But then how did you receive this news?
I'm trying to remember. It's I actually can't remember.
You just said, oh, we did it.
Oh,
that's why you said.
That's a bit anticlimactic.
Well, how anticlimactic?
We were very cautious, weren't we? I didn't want to I took every day a step a day, you know? Don't get too excited. Don't get too negative. Just keep neutral and keep going and do what's required of you to do. And
because it was after that.
Oh yes. So I think it was the 7th week or 8th week mark. where I had a bleed. So previously I had a chemical pregnancy where after the period, the period was pretty long. It was about 10 days. So it was a serious, you can tell that it was quite serious. So having that experience and having this bleed just an hour or two, I thought, oh, this is it. I lost the baby. And I remember I emailed my practitioner that I lost the baby. So, and I told my mom, I told everybody who knew, just a few people. And I thought, okay, it didn't work out. And I was supposed to go to an appointment. It was a Friday night, and the following Saturday, I was supposed to see the doctor for a scan and intralipids. And I said, I'm not coming. I bled. And they were imagining a serious bleeding, not just an hour or two with a tiny, tampon. So they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, but come if you can. I'm like, I'm not feeling like it. I am just not in the mood to come. So that weekend we went out and I ate off the program. I ate whatever came, not really badly. I didn't drink because I don't drink, luckily. And I didn't have coffee either. I just had some junky stuff. Because I thought it's done. It doesn't matter what I do anymore because I can just eat. And the whole week I was very blue, and I had another appointment, of course, for intralipids and check a scan. And I went. To be honest, I went. I just dragged myself and I went. And we were sitting there, and he's like, "Okay, let's check for the heartbeat." And there was a heartbeat. And I remember I started crying and I was holding his hand. It was like this romantic moment with the doctor. Are you serious? He goes, of course I'm serious. And he's looking down at me like, why would I lie about this, Anna? And I'm like, are you serious? Now, you know how you are in that position, your legs are open and he's whatever doing there. And then we're both looking at each other. I'm like, there is a heartbeat. And I remember I cried and goes, intralipids straight away. And I cried so much that it took him. So there's a needle that goes into your hand vein. He could not get it in. He had like 5 attempts. And in the end, he did it in my arm. That's how nervous, that's how much I cried. And everyone was looking and is like, is she okay? And it's like, yeah. It's just, there's a heartbeat. There is a heartbeat. You don't understand. So that was pretty much when I realized, okay, this is going to work. I always knew it's a he. I always called the embryo a he. I'm like, he's strong. He's going to make it. So,
amazing. That is so beautiful. How did it feel, Nick, to go through all of that? I imagine for you as well, it would have been a hard week leading up to discovering there was a heartbeat.
It was. After that, like, every day was like not a bonus, but like every day is a new day and every day is a good day. And then every day just becomes one day at a time. And then I was actually steady until the only worry was, well, when Anna was almost due, and the obstetrician started thinking how to deliver the baby, because of the number of fibroids that were in the way. It could be quite serious and could be dangerous. That's the part when I was worried, and that was the only part that I was worried until I saw this little one. And even then, I had to wait till Anna was stitched up, and then I could focus on the baby.
Yeah, I can imagine, because it's obviously I know your whole life is this woman, and wanting to make sure that she was well and going through what she needed to go through safely. So I totally understand that, especially when there is this situation of there could be a postpartum hemorrhage, and what happens with losing too much blood, and is she going to be okay? And so I can understand as a partner, as a husband, that your worry and concern would be for the well-being of Anamaria in that moment as well, for sure. So, but then everything kind of turned out pretty beautiful.
Yes, yes. The cesarean was not as bad as I thought. And it was the classical way, just a horizontal line, because he was going to do vertical in case. So
Wow.
we had to do more scans prior to the C-section. But he was very thorough, and he really analyzed with another senior surgeon. So in the end, I was very relieved that he's going the classical way without any, because otherwise the recovery would have been harder if he was coming through. So delivery was smooth. Yes, I lost a little of blood.
Wow.
A little
litter. Yeah. Wow. Given that you have about 6, like a bit. That's quite a bit.
So, but a miracle. I recovered the next day. So and then the whole drama with the breastfeeding, which no one ever prepared me for. You need a program on breastfeeding.
You know what, we do now have that. after you no longer need it.
It is traumatic. It is. I think it's. Yeah.
But I don't know if it's funny, but yeah, the funny thing is now we go places with Dante, and then people just open up about breastfeeding and say, "Oh, I was struggling with breastfeeding," and like 9 out of 10 people have struggled.
Most people, it's not, you just think, like, because I don't know, because of movies, because of people talking about the dangers of breastfeeding in public and showing a nipple or whatever it is, right? You think, oh my God, it clearly is obviously so easy. It's like the whole story, if you think about it, of getting pregnant. Think about what you were told in high school. You can't go near that penis. You will get pregnant. It will destroy your life. And those are the messages that we get. So when things deviate from that in the most starkest of way, you kind of go like, what were they talking about? Like, what? Yeah. Or what they were not talking about, like how hard breastfeeding is, and the fact that you have cracked and bleeding nipples and this and that, and it's just like, oh my God. Yeah, I get you. I get you. But you see, we, at the same time that those things are so challenging, and of course, you have to navigate them. I think that one of the most beautiful things for you guys, you've navigated harder things before. And so getting to it, it's kind of like almost like, okay, we can do this. We are going to be okay. As much as in the moment, it's very, very challenging. Absolutely. So tell me something. I want to know, what is any other final thoughts? Because then I want to get into respective messages for Dante, and what you want to leave him with. But any last things that you want to share about your journey, about any of the aspects of what happened for you, or anything at all?
I would say just invest in this program rather than wasting money on IVF. I think, and IVF is not. I mean,
I did not pay her to say that, everybody. Like, that's what she is saying.
Open up those initial emails.
Open up the initial emails.
Open up the emails.
And I think, because for a lot of the couples who are younger than us, I think definitely natural conception is possible.
Yeah.
Before destroying their bodies with IVF, honestly. I watched
and also understanding what's happening with your body, that it's not doing what actually is normal, which is have sex, get pregnant, have a baby. Done. Right? It's nothing else is normal, even though you might be told everything's normal, just keep trying. Well, if you're trying and it's not happening, there's something that we need to understand here.
Yes, and then this, funny enough, the sperm is a huge contributor to so many issues when it comes to miscarriage and everything, and people are not aware. So when people ask me, it's like, oh, how did you conceive and stuff? And I said, yes, we did IVF, but before that, we did 4 years of intense training in bettering our bodies and ourselves. So I always add that. I don't say that IVF is the key. And I always ask them, make sure your husband's or your partner's sperm is in great condition.
Yeah.
That's the
It makes a
message.
huge difference. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that it's such a team sport. That's why I've always said it, will always say it. Fertility is a team sport. There's no other way of trying to kind of bypass that, and still have the same result, because you won't. Like, it's really that simple. And Nick, what about you? What last message would you leave for the men listening to this conversation?
The men, yeah.
Have an open mind and listen to what's going on, because you can gain a lot of knowledge, and it's for your own benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so lovely. And so what is one message that, as Dante watches this in his later years, where he actually values the amount of effort and the time and energy and money that his parents put into bringing him into the world, and the amount of love, that came into that.
This is the reason why you're going to public school.
Nick. There you go, Dante. At least you know. I always say, okay, just I'll tell you guys this very, very quickly before you share your inspirational message, Anamaria. But I always say, my mom actually said this to me. She said, your children are going to probably need therapy anyway. At least this way, they will know why. I'm like, what? This is coming from my mother. Anyway, Anamaria, what would you like to say to Dante?
Well, we love Dante very much, and he's also carrying my late grandfather's name, Romulus. His middle name is Romulus, so he's very special. And all the hard work and all the effort we put into turning to this beautiful baby, we would do it all over again, to be honest, to have Dante again. And we love him very much. And I hope he becomes a beautiful and handsome individual. Let's say.
Individual. I love how you added that. I love
Not
how
men.
just be yourself. Exactly. Whatever it is that you need to be, Dante, just be it.
Yes.
I think that's
yes, and whatever he wants to do, he should do his best. Whatever he does, I'll support him.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's lovely. And I think that, on that vein, I always love sharing a little message for our babies. And, this baby, like many of our babies, I've now had babies finish university and, go to the army and, and I just kind of go, wow, how incredible that is.
Wow.
And and I think that, in this juncture, in this moment, I wish for Dante that he just is evermore everything that he feels, in his heart, and that he brings that out into the world and helps other people discover that part of themselves for themselves as well. And thank you for bringing us with you along this journey, and for making us a part of your family. For us, it's incredibly special, and we never take for granted the contribution that you make to our lives as well. So thank you, and please keep me posted. I love all the Christmas cards that I get from my patients every year. Like, you know, I love when they keep me posted and updated and send me messages on, like I receive direct messages on Facebook of today is such and such's birthday and this is happening and this is wonderful. And, you know, she's going to university this year, or she's finished university
Yeah.
this year, or he's gone to the army. And it's just like, oh my God, like for me, that is just such a, my mom was a primary school teacher and she's got to see all of the students that she had, you know, kind of go on in their lives and do all of their things. But I think that for me, it's even more special because in a way, we literally had a little sparkle of contribution in bringing this little being into the world. And to see what they do from here, to see what he does from here is for me just so exciting and I can't wait. So please keep me posted.
Will do, will do.
He
Keep me
didn't want to
posted.
sleep alone.
He wanted
he
to be
had to
here
sleep.
amidst the excitement, but you know, this child, he still impresses me how he sleeps. So keep it up, Dante, for the rest of your life. Sleep is very important. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for
Yeah,
being here. I really appreciate
our
it.
pleasure.
And
Bye.
we'll see you soon.
Yep.
Very